Hi, my name is Kathleen Hollon. I'm 24 years old and I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was 20 years old. At the time of my diagnosis, I was a sophomore in college going into my junior year, studying biomedical sciences at USF. The biggest worry in my life when this happened was moving into my new apartment in Tampa. So after a car accident I had in June of 2016, I experienced a lot of crazy symptoms that I didn't know what the source or problem was while I was moving into my apartment, and that's when things got a little crazy and my life changed forever. So after a couple weeks after the car accident, I was still experiencing numbness. When I first experienced my right hand numbness, I was sleeping on my arm, so I thought that my arm was asleep. But later that day, I was at work at Moe's and I was rolling burritos and everything, and my arm, like my hand, was still feeling numb. And later that shift, I was trying to fix my hair like this, like just put it up or fix the ponytail, I don't remember. And then I was trying to move my arms, to fix my ponytail. And this arm was all the way over here. So I knew something wasn't right when that happened. So after I noticed I couldn't put my hair up correctly, I realized that the symptoms might be more than just car accident symptoms like a pinched nerve or something from whiplash, because I had whiplash pretty bad. So as time went on, when I was moving into my apartment, things were going smoothly, but I felt like I was drunk. Like I couldn't stay on a sidewalk straight, and like I just felt dizzy all the time and unbalanced. And at one point when I was getting ready to go on an errand or something, I was with my friend and I was doing my makeup and my mascara. I was trying to put it in, like back together, like a normal thing. But I couldn't put it back together the way I normally do. And I do my makeup a lot, so it was kind of concerning when I put my mascara tube together like this, and I noticed something was off with my fine motor coordination. And my friend was like, okay, you need to go to the emergency room right now. So when I got to the emergency room, they tested my eyes for, not sure if I'm saying it right, but astigmatism or something like that. And they moved their finger in front of my eyes, like, looking in each direction, and my eyes started shaking. And I also had double vision around that time, which was really concerning because this eye kept losing its muscle control and it kept going like all wonky, and I couldn't turn my head and focus on, if someone was calling my name, like Kathleen, and I would turn around and I couldn't focus on them because my eye was just going all over the place. And it was incredibly hard to read, which is a problem because I was in college. But anywho, I was in the emergency room. They tested me for the eye shaking, which is a common symptom, first symptom of multiple sclerosis. And then they took me to a room. I got a CAT scan, which was negative, and then they gave me an MRI. And the MRI is what showed all of my lesions and some active lesions in the back part of my brain where it was controlling my balance and coordination, and also a little up here affecting my emotions and my optic nerve, like the processing in my eye of what I was seeing. So when the doctor came back with the results, she just told me that, I'm not one to say this, but your MRI aligns with multiple sclerosis. And then she left the room, leaving us kind of confused. And I know she said that because she's an emergency room doctor, but that was only the beginning of the hardships I experienced as a patient with multiple sclerosis. And yeah, so that was the Sunday before classes started my junior year, and that was the most important semester for me because I was trying to start a double major in studio art and biomedical sciences because I love both. And I was also running my own organization, Art Society, at the time, and it was really difficult for me to hear the words, "You need to take a break." And at the time, I remember I was signed up for genetics online, painting, intermediate drawing, and a couple other of science classes. But I had to withdraw due to my symptoms, and it was very difficult for me to read, given my vision. So I took a break and tried to research everything I could about multiple sclerosis and healing my body. I chose to study studio art and biomedical sciences because I have always had a strong passion for both of the fields. And my favorite thing to do with art is draw and pencil and fine detail, and just doing any kind of art has a great effect on the mental health of anyone. And I realized this when I was a volunteer at Moffitt Cancer Center. They have an art studio at Moffitt for the patients and the family, and I was given the opportunity to help them de-stress and find some peace in their day while they're waiting, and doing different things like watercolors or other pieces of art. And it really inspired me to keep doing that for myself and keep being creative, using creativity to find ideas and peace day to day. And I find it really helps me. So that's where it crosses over to science, because it helps the psychology and mental health of the person. As I was saying, that people who are struggling find it hard to, like, I know I find it hard for myself to express that to other people because I'm always working so hard and studying all the time. That's how my life was the past 5 years in undergrad. I see a future in the crossing of science and art, and I wanted to do everything I could to keep that alive and keep promoting science and art so it can help other people. So fast forward a couple tried semesters, failed semesters. I graduated with my bachelor's in science with biomedical sciences, and then I applied to a master's program in aging and neuroscience brain repair at Morsani College of Medicine at USF. And I also had to withdraw in October of 2019, so this past semester, because I had another relapse. And this is concerning because I'm on my third disease-modifying therapy, Ocrevus, and I had an enhancing lesion, and it was causing a lot of new symptoms that I wasn't used to dealing with. So I was forced to take a break from school again, and now we realize that I need a better treatment that will help me be in remission for a very long time, hopefully. And that's called HSCT, or hematopoietic stem cell transplant. And that's where I'll get my immune system wiped out by chemotherapy. It's going to wipe out my current immune system, which is the problem and causing all of my current lesions. So once my immune system is wiped out with chemotherapy, they're going to give me a drug that makes the stem cells come out of my bone marrow, and then they're going to take those out, proliferate them in a lab, like grow them in a lab, and then put it back into my blood so it can go where it's needed to heal the lesions, and hopefully I'll be completely symptom-free afterward, which is really important because I have a lot of dreams and goals, and I want to go to medical school to research this crazy disease and help others who struggle with it or diseases similar to it. So the effects of multiple sclerosis have a lot of different presentations for each person who has the disease, and it can be pretty crippling at times due to MS fatigue, where you just feel so tired all the time and you can't really help it. And for me, it's been difficult being, I'm kind of young, so I have a lot of muscle spasms that affect me daily that are really painful, and recently it's been happening in my legs, and a lot of other MS patients have dealt with this symptom as well, and sometimes it just makes me feel so tired that I feel like I can't even stand on my legs, like I can't hold myself up on my legs. So that's really difficult for me because I've been like an athlete my whole life. Like I did ballet, I played soccer since I was really young. I was on varsity in high school for soccer. I played defense. And now it's very hard for me to get the energy to even go get myself a glass of water sometimes. So that's difficult to deal with. A couple other symptoms I experience are tremors just at random times. I'm hoping they'll go away after the stem cell treatment, but what happens is sometimes I'll be holding something and like my hand will shake a little bit like that, one time I was holding a drink and I spilled it like right on my carpet because I couldn't control my hand. So sometimes they're just random symptoms like that. Other times they're constant, like with my cognition. I had a neuropsychological test done. Sometimes people have this test to see if they have like ADD. What they found during my test was that I had slower processing speed and attention deficits, but my memory and IQ weren't affected. It's just how I process information and learn information. I found out clearly I finished my degree, but sometimes it is difficult because I need to study. I find I have to study a lot longer than my peers sometimes, but study groups help me a lot with interacting with other students and everything. But it also affects the way I have conversations with people. Like the words in my sentences, sometimes they don't come out right and they don't come in order. And it takes a minute for me to get what the other person is saying and process it and respond in a correct way, I guess. But luckily, the people close to me know what's going on with me and they have a lot of patience when I'm talking. So despite the symptoms that make the quality of life hard for MS patients, we also have a lot of difficulty dealing with insurance companies and disease-modifying therapies that treat RMS. And the way that disease-modifying therapies treat the MS is to suppress our immune system in some type of way, and that prevents your immune system from overacting when, say, you get an infection or you're stressed that particular day or whatever. And it'll cause your immune system to overact and attack and form new lesions in your brain and form a lot new damage that can cause more symptoms. So it'll keep that from happening, but at the same time, it makes you a lot more susceptible to a lot of different infections since your immune system is lower, and that's where it affects your quality of life. I mean, aside from getting infusions every so often, which can be different for everyone since they're on, you know, each disease modifying therapy is different the way you take it. Like one time, the first therapy I was on was called Copaxone, where I had to inject 3 times a week into the bottom of my arm. And I had to rotate from this arm, my stomach area, the tops of my thighs, and the backs of my hips. And the problem with that one was it created a lot of painful welts that were reactions from the medication I was injecting at the site. So say I would inject here, I would get a huge welt about that big. That was just, it was painful. After speaking to my doctor about that, he wanted me on a stronger, more effective therapy than that one. And so he put me on Tecfidera. And that one was a pill I took once in the morning, once at night before I went to bed. And that one made me have flushing reactions on my chest and my face. My entire face would turn into a tomato. So I had to make sure to take like 100 milligram aspirin beforehand, like an hour beforehand. It was just a lot to remember with the pills, and the flushing wasn't great. But the most debilitating symptom of that medication was, it was called severe tiredness. That was the side effect, which sounds kind of, you know, I have severe tiredness. That's kind of hard to believe when you're so like young, and people seem to look at me with face of disbelief when I tell them I have severe tiredness or fatigue, because I don't look like I'm tired, but I am. Anyway, with that medication, I was experiencing that side effect. So with that symptom, severe tiredness, I had to withdraw from my classes that semester and also stop working at Moffitt as a patient transporter, which that was one of my favorite jobs. And it really saddened me when I had to stop working because of that. Soon after, the next year, a new drug came out called Ocrevus in 2018. So that one, I would get infusions every 6 months, and the infusions take about 8 hours, and there may or may not be a severe allergic reaction where my throat will close up or just something insane like that. It's pretty terrifying being told that when you first go in to get the infusion. But luckily I didn't have any allergic reactions, and the drug worked well for me up until this past October, where I had an enhancing lesion that caused my relapse. So after that hospitalization, I spoke with my doctors, and they think it's a great idea for me to get the HSCT, and that really has a chance of halting my MS progression. So with a new immune system from my stem cells, from my own stem cells, it will help rebuild and rejuvenate my body pretty much. So hopefully that one will be better, but I know it's going to be a tough recovery due to the chemotherapy and also the stem cells coming out of my bone marrow. It's going to be a little painful, I have to be honest with you, and I might lose my hair, but it'll be fine. And hopefully one day I'll look back on all of this and be happy it happened, or happy it's over, actually. But yeah, a lot of people with multiple sclerosis struggle with this because Not all insurance will accept the stem cell therapy as a treatment, especially since it's still considered experimental by the insurance companies, and it takes a lot of convincing for them, unfortunately. So this is where you all come in. I need help paying for the treatment since my insurance won't cover it. And the thing is, it is $72,000 and I have to pay it in full before the treatment is even scheduled. So, yeah. I would really appreciate your help paying for this treatment so I can have a second chance at reaching my goals. My wish is to contribute to multiple sclerosis research when I return to my master's program in aging and neuroscience, and as well as continue that research when I'm in medical school in the future. If you'd like to follow along on my journey, the link to my GoFundMe is in the description box below, and you can also donate there if you wish, and you can read more details about who I am, what I'm going through currently, and just more details about the treatment in itself. And also I'll be posting more videos on this channel about my life, multiple sclerosis, how I deal with it. And I hope you follow along, and I hope you never choose to give up. Thank you. Yay!